The crystalline spires of Astrolix Prime pierced the violet sky like frozen music made manifest. Kira Nakamura stood at the viewport of her transport ship, her fingers unconsciously tapping out a rhythm on the reinforced glass. The movement rippled through her suit's neural interface, sending tiny vibrations through her body that only she could feel. Final approach to the Celestial Harmony Festival grounds, the ship's AI announced. All performers please prepare for diplomatic screening. Kira adjusted the ceremonial robe draped over her quantum rhythm suit, a sleek black ensemble lined with pulsing blue circuitry that responded to her body's natural bioelectric field. The suit was as much an instrument as it was armor, though most species in the Galactic Alliance considered it primitive compared to their energy shields and plasma fields. Let them underestimate her, it wouldn't be the first time. The landing pad bustled with activity as representatives from 100 worlds converged for the Centennial Festival. Towering andromedons with their crystalline bodies moved in geometric patterns. Vaporform nebulans drifted in their containment spheres. And everywhere, the proud drachnid people of Astrolix Prime stood watch in their infamous resonance armor that supposedly could deflect any attack through perfectly calibrated frequency shields. A group of festival officials approached as Kira descended her ship's ramp. Their leader, a striking drachnid male with scaled silver skin and eyes like burning amethysts, stood out even among his impressive people. His resonance armor hummed at a frequency she could feel in her bones. "I am Security Chief Thuron Voss," he announced, his translator rendering his harmonic speech into standard. "You are the human sonic artist." "Kira Nakamura," she replied with a slight bow, "quantum rhythm dancer from the Terra Conservatory." His eyes narrowed as they traced over her suit. That appears to be rather basic technology for such an esteemed festival. "Sometimes the simplest frequencies carry the deepest truths," Kira said, quoting an old conservatory teaching. She noticed how his head tilted slightly at her words, a flash of curiosity breaking through his stern demeanor. "Indeed," Thuron gestured to his team, "you will need to demonstrate your abilities before being cleared to perform. Our sensors detect unusual energy patterns in your suit that don't match any registered human technology." Kira smiled, happy to demonstrate, though you might want to step back. She moved to the center of the landing pad as the officials created a safe distance. Closing her eyes, Kira let her consciousness merge with her suit's neural interface. The quantum rhythm technology responded to her body's natural electrical impulses, amplifying them through precisely calibrated sonic frequencies. She began to dance. Each movement generated waves of invisible force that rippled through the air. The metal flooring beneath her feet vibrated in harmony with her steps. She spun, and the air itself seemed to spiral around her, creating audible harmonics that made the drachnid's resonance armor hum in response. Kira pulled the sound waves closer, shaping them with her gestures until they formed a cocoon of pure sonic energy around her body. To the observers, it appeared as if she were dancing within a sphere of shimmering air, but she could feel every frequency, every harmonic possibility. With a final gesture, she sent a focused pulse of sound outward, not enough to harm, but sufficient to demonstrate her control. The wave passed through the officials harmlessly, but their armor flickered as the frequencies interfered with their shields for a fraction of a second. Thuron's eyes widened. His hand had instinctively moved to the sonic blade at his hip, though he hadn't drawn it. "Impressive," he said, and this time there was no condescension in his tone. Though potentially concerning, that level of sonic manipulation could be considered a weapon. "Everything is a weapon to those who only seek conflict," Kira replied, letting her suit power down to its baseline state. "I'm here to demonstrate art and help bridge cultural understanding. The festival committee has my full technical specifications." "Which I will be reviewing personally," Thuron said. He stepped closer, and Kira realized how tall he was, easily 7 feet, with broad shoulders emphasized by his armor's elegant curves. "Your performance style is unique. I've never seen human technology interface with sonic frequencies quite like this." "The Terra Conservatory preserves many ancient arts that others have forgotten," Kira said. "Sometimes looking to the past reveals new paths forward." Something shifted in Thuron's expression, recognition, perhaps, or curiosity, but his professional mask quickly returned. "You'll be assigned quarters in the diplomatic wing. I advise staying within designated areas. Astrolix Prime can be unwelcoming to those who stray." "Is that a threat, Security Chief?" A warning, not everyone appreciates new harmonies disrupting established rhythms. He gestured to one of his subordinates. Lyra will show you to your quarters. We'll speak again before your first performance. As Kira followed the junior official toward the festival complex, she could feel Thuron's eyes on her. The encounter had left her both unsettled and intrigued. There was something beneath his rigid exterior, a resonance that called to her artistic instincts. In her quarters, Kira reviewed the festival schedule on her datapad. 3 days of exhibitions, cultural exchanges, and performances, culminating in the grand finale where representatives from each world would demonstrate their arts in harmony. Politics wrapped in pageantry as always. She began her warm-up exercises, letting her suit synchronize with her movements. Each gesture created subtle ripples of sound that helped her map the acoustic properties of the room. As she danced, she noted how the Drachnid architecture seemed designed to amplify and channel sonic frequencies in specific patterns. Curious, she thought, for a people so focused on using sound as a weapon in defense, they still recognized its artistic potential. Perhaps there was hope for genuine cultural exchange after all. A notification chimed on her datapad. Her technical review would begin in 1 hour. Kira smiled as she continued her practice. Let them scan and study her primitive technology. The true power of quantum rhythm dancing wasn't in the suit or the sonic manipulation. It was in understanding that all things, all people, resonated at their own unique frequency. Find that resonance, match its rhythm, and barriers began to fall. Even perhaps those of a certain stoic security chief. Kira spun to a stop, her suit humming softly as it powered down. Tomorrow she would begin showing the galaxy that humanity's simple arts held depths few suspected. But tonight she had forms to file, frequencies to calibrate, and a fascinating culture to study. After all, one couldn't dance to a rhythm without first learning its beat. The exhibition hall of Astrolix Prime pulsed with anticipation as delegates from across the galaxy gathered for the first day of performances. Kira stood in the preparation chamber, making final adjustments to her quantum rhythm suit while watching the current performer through a holographic feed. A Nebulan artist was creating intricate patterns of light and gas, their containment sphere spinning in complex geometries. The Drachnid audience appeared politely interested, but Kira could read the underlying dismissal in their posture. They valued power alongside beauty, and few things commanded their respect like mastery over sonic resonance. Your performance begins in 10 minutes, a melodic voice announced. Kira turned to find Lyra, Thuron's subordinate, standing at attention. Security Chief Voss requests a final equipment check. Again, Kira raised an eyebrow. That would make 3 today. Standard protocol. Lyra's silver scales shifted color slightly, embarrassment perhaps. Though I admit the chief seems particularly thorough regarding your appearances. Thuron emerged from a side entrance, his resonance armor gleaming under the preparation chamber's lights. He carried a scanning device that hummed at a frequency that made Kira's suit tingle in response. Ms. Nakamura, he said formally, I trust you've reviewed the safety protocols. Thoroughly, Kira stepped closer, noting how his armor's harmonic field intensified. Though I'm curious why a simple dance performance requires such scrutiny. Simple, his amethyst eyes narrowed. Your demonstration yesterday affected our resonance shields. That suggests capabilities beyond mere entertainment. Everything that moves creates vibrations, Security Chief. Your people weaponized those frequencies. We learned to dance with them. Before Thuron could respond, the announcement system chimed. Now presenting, Kira Nakamura of Terra, Quantum Rhythm Dancer. Watch closely, Kira said with a slight smile. You might learn something about harmony. She stepped through the curtain of sonic energy that separated the preparation chamber from the main stage. The exhibition hall stretched before her, its crystalline architecture designed to capture and amplify sound. Hundreds of delegates filled the viewing galleries, with the Drachnid nobility occupying the prime seats. Kira took her starting position. Her suit powered up, neural interfaces synchronizing with her heartbeat. She had chosen a challenging piece for this debut, an ancient Terra composition translated into pure frequency manipulation. The first movement began with subtle vibrations, barely perceptible but building in complexity. Kira's dance wove sonic patterns through the air, visible as ripples of distortion that caught and reflected the hall's lighting. Each gesture generated new harmonics that interacted with the existing frequencies, creating layers of resonance that the Drachnid audience would feel in their bones. From the corner of her eye, she caught Thuron watching intently, his scanner forgotten in his hand. She added a flourish to her next sequence, sending a cascade of sonic pulses spiraling upward. The crystalline architecture sang in response, creating natural harmonies that complemented her performance. Then came the movement's crescendo. Kira gathered the ambient sound waves, compressing them around her body until she seemed to glow with sonic energy. With precise control, she released the accumulated power in a series of expanding rings that rippled through the hall. The waves passed harmlessly through organic matter, but made every piece of resonance technology in the room vibrate in perfect harmony. The audience fell silent. Even the most stoic Drachnid nobles leaned forward, their own armor humming in unconscious response to her frequencies. Kira transitioned into the final sequence, her movements becoming more fluid, more challenging. She pushed the boundaries of what her suit could channel, knowing she was being evaluated not just as an artist, but as a potential threat. As the performance reached its conclusion, Kira brought the sonic energies to a perfect convergence above the stage. For a moment, the frequencies aligned to create a haunting melody that echoed the ancient earth composition that had inspired her dance. Then, with a final gesture, she released the energy, letting it dissipate into harmless vibrations. The silence that followed felt charged with potential. Then, surprisingly, the Drachnid audience began to hum, their traditional way of showing appreciation for a masterful sonic manipulation. The other delegates joined in with their own forms of applause. Kira bowed, her suit cooling down from the intense routine. As she straightened, she found Thuron approaching the stage, his expression unreadable. "Impressive," he said, voice pitched low for her ears alone. "Though you understated your capabilities, that level of frequency control threatens your monopoly on sonic technology," Kira suggested. "Suggests there is more to Terra's ancient arts than you've revealed." His eyes held hers. "The noble houses are already asking questions, they don't appreciate surprises." "Perhaps they need to be surprised. Art isn't about comfort, Security Chief, it's about growth." A commotion near the main entrance interrupted their exchange. A group of Drachnid nobles was approaching, led by a striking female in elaborate resonance armor that shifted colors like an aurora. "Lady Sindara," Thuron said, tension evident in his stance. "This area is restricted during performances." "Surely such rules don't apply to the house that sponsors this festival." Lady Sindara's translator rendered her harmonics into silken tones. She focused on Kira with predatory interest. "I simply wish to meet the human who dances with frequencies as if born to them. Your performance was enlightening." "You're too kind," Kira replied, recognizing the political currents swirling beneath the surface. "We should arrange a private demonstration. My house maintains an extensive collection of sonic artifacts. Perhaps we could compare techniques." Thuron stepped forward slightly. "All private demonstrations must be cleared through security protocols." "Of course," Lady Sindara's scales rippled with amusement. "We wouldn't want any unfortunate incidents. Though I wonder, Security Chief, do you guard the festival from her or her from us?" The question hung in the air like a suspended note. Kira felt the weight of competing interests and hidden agendas pressing in around her. She had expected her performance to attract attention, but the intensity of the Drachnid response suggested deeper currents. "I guard the peace," Thuron said finally, "which is best served by following established protocols." "Peace?" Lady Sindara made the word sound like a criticism. "How quickly we forget that our greatest advances came through conflict. Remember that little dancer, not all frequencies harmonize." She departed with her entourage, leaving behind a tension that hummed like an off-key note. Kira began powering down her suit, aware of Thuron's troubled expression. "Your performance may have complicated things," he said quietly. "Good," Kira met his gaze, "because I'm just getting started." Dawn on Astrolix Prime brought sheets of crystalline rain that chimed against the festival complex's sonic shields. Kira sat cross-legged in her quarters, eyes closed as her suit processed the natural harmonies. Each droplet contributed to a symphony that few besides her could fully appreciate. A urgent knock disrupted her meditation. "Ms. Nakamura," Lyra's voice carried through the door, "there's been an incident. The chief requests your presence immediately." The practice chamber where Kira had been scheduled to rehearse was in chaos. Pieces of shattered crystal littered the floor, and the air smelled of burned circuitry. Thuron stood in the center, his armor pulsing with agitated frequencies as he directed a forensics team. Someone sabotaged the chamber's resonance amplifiers, he said as Kira approached. If you had begun your practice routine at full power, the feedback would have turned my own frequencies against me, Kira finished, examining the damaged equipment. Rather elegant, actually. Whoever did this understands both Drachnid technology and the principles of my quantum rhythm dancing. You don't seem surprised. I've felt eyes on me since my performance yesterday, not all of them friendly. Kira knelt to pick up a crystal shard, feeling the residual vibrations. This wasn't just about hurting me, was it? Thuron's scales shifted to a darker shade. No, the resonance amplifiers connect to the festival complex's main power grid. A catastrophic failure here could have destabilized the shields protecting thousands of delegates, creating a diplomatic incident that would embarrass both Terra and Astrolix Prime. Kira stood, brushing crystal dust from her suit. Lady Sindara's warning about conflict doesn't seem so subtle now. You suspect House Sindara. I suspect everyone, but I also think we can use this. Kira's suit hummed as she accessed its deeper functions. My quantum rhythm technology isn't just for dancing, it can trace sonic signatures, map frequency patterns. Thuron stepped closer, interest overcoming his usual reserve. The forensics team found no traceable energy signatures. They're looking for Drachnid frequencies, but everything leaves a resonance echo if you know how to listen. Kira extended her hand. Work with me on this, two perspectives might reveal what one would miss. After a moment's hesitation, Thuron placed his hand in hers. His resonance armor synchronized with her suit's frequencies, creating an interface between their technologies. The sensation was intimate, almost overwhelming. Each could feel the other's natural rhythms, their unique vibrations merging into something new. Focus, Kira whispered, though her own pulse had quickened. Let the frequencies flow, don't try to control them. Together, they began a slow movement that was half dance, half investigation. Their combined technologies sent waves of detection through the chamber, reading the subtle harmonics embedded in every surface. Kira led with fluid gestures while Thuron provided power and precision, his military training complementing her artistic flow. There, they said simultaneously as their sensors picked up an anomalous pattern. The saboteur had tried to mask their work with standard frequencies, but the underlying rhythm was wrong, like an instrument slightly out of tune. That's not Drachnid technology, Thuron said, his hand still linked with Kira's. But it's not Terra-based either. No, Kira agreed, it's older, much older. She could feel Thuron's surprise through their connected frequencies. You've sensed something similar before, haven't you? He broke their connection, scales flushing slightly. The noble houses maintain collections of sonic artifacts, pieces of technology from civilizations that vanished long before either of our peoples reached the stars. Lady Sindara's collection is particularly extensive. And now we have proof that someone used similar technology to sabotage the festival. Kira flexed her fingers, missing the resonance of their linked frequencies. But going to the authorities would mean revealing how we discovered it. Our technologies aren't meant to interface like that, Thuron said, but without conviction. It could be seen as inappropriate. More inappropriate than letting someone manipulate us into conflict, Kira challenged. The saboteur will try again, we need to find them before they succeed. Before Thuron could respond, his communication device chimed with an urgent signal. His expression darkened as he read the message. Lady Sindara is dead. What? Found in her private chambers. Early analysis suggests her resonance armor malfunctioned, turned her own sonic defenses inward. His eyes met Kira's. She was scheduled to give a private demonstration of her artifact collection today. Convenient timing. Kira's mind raced through implications. Her death makes House Sindara look vulnerable if someone wanted to escalate tensions. They couldn't have chosen a better catalyst. Thuron's armor hummed with suppressed emotion. The noble houses will demand an investigation. Fingers will be pointed. The festival could collapse into accusations and political maneuvering. Unless we find the truth first. Kira activated her suit's full spectrum of sensors. I can access frequencies your investigators can't detect, and you know the political landscape, the history we're dealing with. Working together openly could be dangerous for both of us. Everything worth doing carries risk. Kira held out her hand again. Dance with me, security chief. This time, let's follow the rhythm of truth. Thuron hesitated for only a moment before taking her hand. Their technologies synchronized once more, creating harmonies that neither could achieve alone. As they began their investigation, both felt the subtle shift in their relationship from reluctant allies to something deeper, more resonant. The festival complex's crystal spires sang in the rain, a counterpoint to the frequencies of conspiracy and attraction building within its walls. Somewhere in that symphony of sound and politics, a killer waited, wielding ancient technologies that could shatter the peace between worlds. But they had something the saboteur hadn't counted on: two different approaches to sonic manipulation, two cultures' understanding of frequency and power, merging into something unprecedented. Something that might just save them all if they could keep their balance in this dance of danger and discovery. The archives beneath House Sindara's estate thrummed with ancient power. Kira and Thuron moved carefully through rows of sonic artifacts, their combined technologies creating a protective field against the random frequency bursts that filled the air. "These aren't just collections," Kira whispered, her suit processing the cacophony of overlapping signals. "They're weapons, technology that could revolutionize or destroy entire civilizations." Or both. Thuron's scales had darkened to match the shadows. The noble houses have been gathering these artifacts for generations, each claiming to protect them from misuse. They reached a sealed chamber that pulsed with familiar frequencies, the same discordant pattern they'd traced from the sabotage attempt. Thuron pressed his hand to the lock, channeling his armor's energy through ancient circuits. The door dissolved into mist, revealing a laboratory filled with hybrid technology. Drachnid resonance tools had been merged with artifacts that predated known civilization, creating devices that defied conventional understanding. Lady Sindara wasn't just collecting, Kira said, examining a partially assembled device. She was reverse engineering, combining technologies in ways that should be impossible. Unless she had help, Thuron's voice carried an edge of realization. Someone who understood both ancient sonic principles and modern applications, someone who could dance between frequencies like they were born to them. A slow clapping echoed through the chamber. From the shadows emerged Lyra, but her silver scales now rippled with patterns that shouldn't have been possible for a drachnid. "Well done," she said, her harmonics carrying multiple layers of resonance. "Though you're a bit late to stop what's already in motion." "You're not drachnid," Kira said, her suit detecting impossible frequency patterns in Lyra's body. "What are you?" "A survivor. My people mastered sonic manipulation eons ago before your species learned to walk upright." Lyra's form shifted, becoming less solid, more pure energy contained within a humanoid shape. "We seeded the galaxy with our technology, watching, waiting to see who might prove worthy of its power." "Lady Sindara discovered your true nature," Thuron said, his armor automatically adjusting to defend against the changing frequencies. "So you killed her." "She became greedy, wanted to use our gifts to dominate rather than elevate." Lyra gestured, and the hybrid devices around them hummed to life. "But you too, you've shown such potential. The way your technologies dance together, creating harmonies that neither culture could achieve alone." "You orchestrated all of this," Kira realized. "The sabotage, the political tension, you were testing us." "Testing everyone." Most responded exactly as expected, with fear, aggression, attempts to seize power. Lyra's form pulsed with approval. "But you chose cooperation, understanding. You proved that different approaches to sonic manipulation could work in harmony." "And now what?" Thuron's hand found Kira's, their technologies automatically synchronizing. "You offer us ancient secrets in exchange for loyalty." "I offer you a choice." Lyra raised her hands, and the air itself seemed to crystallize with potential. "Join me, help guide both your peoples toward a true understanding of sonic power, or try to stop me from implementing that guidance more directly." The hybrid devices sparked with increasing energy, sending waves of destructive frequencies through the archive. Above them, the festival complex's shields began to fluctuate. "She's going to overload the entire grid," Thuron said, his armor straining against the rising power. "The feedback will tear apart anyone using sonic technology." "Unless they submit to her guidance," Kira finished. She squeezed Thuron's hand, feeling their connected frequencies stabilize. "But she's made one mistake." "Oh," Lyra's form wavered with amusement. "You understand sonic technology perfectly," Kira said, beginning a familiar dance pattern. "But you've forgotten that the most powerful frequencies come from life itself." She pulled Thuron into the movement, their bodies and technologies flowing together in the dance they'd practiced while investigating. But this time, they weren't seeking evidence. They were weaving a counter-frequency to Lyra's artificial harmonics. Their combined power rose from the natural rhythms of heartbeat and breath, of blood and emotion. It wasn't perfect or mathematically precise like Lyra's ancient technology. Instead, it carried all the beautiful imperfections of organic life, a symphony of small discordant notes that somehow created a greater harmony. Impossible, Lyra whispered as her devices began to falter. These frequencies aren't in any database, any calculation. They're not meant to be, Thuron said, his scales glowing as he matched Kira's movements. They're meant to be felt. Their dance reached its crescendo, sending waves of chaotic life frequencies through the archive. The hybrid devices overloaded, but instead of exploding, they simply went dark, their artificial harmonics drowned out by the pure sound of existence itself. Lyra's form destabilized, her carefully maintained frequencies disrupted by the organic resonance. "This isn't over," she said, her voice fracturing into pure sound. "The technology still exists, others will come." "Let them," Kira replied, still moving in sync with Thuron. "We'll face them the same way together." With a final discordant note, Lyra dissolved into waves of light and sound that quickly faded to nothing. The archive fell silent except for the quiet hum of Kira and Thuron's linked technologies and the steady rhythm of their hearts. The grand hall of the Celestial Harmony Festival blazed with light and sound as delegates from across the galaxy gathered for the closing ceremony. 1 week had passed since the incident in House Sindara's archives, a week of careful explanations and diplomatic maneuvering. Kira stood backstage, making final adjustments to her quantum rhythm suit. The festival committee had asked her to perform the closing piece, a debut work combining Terra's ancient arts with Drachnid's sonic traditions. "The noble houses are still arguing about the artifacts," Thuron said, approaching with his resonance armor tuned to match her suit's frequencies. They'd barely been apart since their confrontation with Lyra, finding excuses to maintain their unique technological connection. "Let them argue," Kira smiled, feeling the familiar harmony of their combined technologies. "As long as they're talking, they're not fighting. Sometimes discord is necessary for growth." Speaking of growth, Thuron's scales shifted through shades of blue, embarrassment, affection, hope. "The Security Council has approved my proposal. We're establishing a joint research initiative between Terra and Astrolix Prime, studying the peaceful applications of combined sonic technologies. And they want us to lead it." Kira's heart jumped at the possibility of continuing their partnership. "If you're interested, it would mean staying on Astrolix Prime, working closely together too." He trailed off as Kira stepped closer, their frequencies automatically synchronizing. "Dancing together, you mean?" She took his hand, feeling the now familiar rush of connected energies. "I think we've proven we're good at that." The announcement system chimed, calling them to their positions. They'd chosen to perform together, demonstrating the potential of their merged technologies through a duet that would either scandalize or inspire the watching galaxy. As they took the stage, Kira felt the weight of political expectations and cultural traditions pressing in around them. But when the music began, a pure tone that resonated through the crystal architecture, none of that mattered. They danced. Their movements wove together traditional Drachnid power forms with Terra's fluid quantum rhythm patterns. Each gesture generated frequencies that the other's technology amplified and refined, creating harmonies that filled the grand hall with visible waves of sonic energy. The audience watched in stunned silence as two different approaches to sonic manipulation merged into something entirely new. Where Drachnid resonance traditionally focused on power and protection, and Terra's quantum rhythm emphasized flow and harmony, their duet demonstrated how these seemingly opposite philosophies could strengthen each other. Kira led them through a sequence that showed the defensive capabilities of their combined technologies, not as weapons, but as shields that could protect while healing. Thuron responded with movements that turned pure power into art, his military precision softened by her artistic influence. Their frequencies spiraled higher, pushing the boundaries of what either technology could achieve alone. The crystal architecture of the hall sang in response, adding its ancient harmonies to their modern innovation. In that moment, they were no longer just two people dancing, they were the physical embodiment of cooperation between worlds. As the performance reached its peak, Kira and Thuron's technologies synchronized completely. The barrier between their different approaches dissolved, leaving only pure sonic expression. Their final movement sent waves of harmony washing over the audience, letting everyone feel for just a moment the potential that lay in combining traditions rather than fighting to preserve their separation. The silence that followed felt charged with possibility. Then, slowly, the Drachnid nobles began their traditional gesture of respect, a harmonic hum that rose from deep in their chests. Other delegates added their own forms of appreciation, creating a spontaneous symphony of interspecies celebration. Well, Thuron said quietly as they took their bows, his hand still linked with Kira's. I'd say that makes our position on the research initiative rather clear. Crystal, Kira agreed, squeezing his hand. Though I hope you know this means you'll have to keep dancing with me, for science, of course. For science, he echoed, his scales shifting to deep purple, the color of devotion in Drachnid culture. Though I suspect we've started something bigger than either of us intended. Looking out at the celebrating audience, at the bridges being built between cultures that had long held themselves separate, Kira couldn't help but agree. They had faced ancient powers and political intrigue, cultural barriers and technological limitations. But in the end, the most powerful frequency they'd discovered was the simplest, the resonance between two hearts beating in harmony, two different approaches to life finding common rhythm. Ready to face whatever comes next? She asked as they prepared to leave the stage. Thuron's response was to pull her into a spin that merged their frequencies once more, creating a small private symphony of their own. As long as we're dancing together, he said, I'm ready for anything. Above them, the crystal spires of Astrolix Prime rang with new harmonies, songs of possibility, of change, of love spanning the stars themselves. The galaxy would never be quite the same, but then the most beautiful symphonies were those that dared to play new melodies. And this, Kira thought as she and Thuron joined the celebration, was just the first movement of their song.